In the modern age, fandom and online communities are something almost inherently intertwined. We love to engage with those who share a similar interest, and it's become easier than ever with the existence of the internet. You can find a Discord with a bunch of people constantly talking and conversing, a Facebook community that does some meetups, online multiplayer games with people always active, and online to compete or hang out. The places you can find those who share your interests are numerous, but some stand out more than others. People like Taylor Swift and BTS are artists with massive fan bases that have spawned a plentiful amount of smaller and larger online communities that the fandom engages with. Marvel is still fairly active and with a lot of people to talk about online, and the Fortnite community is essentially a whole online ecosystem of its own. One that has stood out for a while, though, are the many communities spawned from Roblox, particularly the game known as Jujutsu Shenanigans, standing out high and above just about every other game in the Battlegrounds game community in Roblox. It remains consistently in the top 10 somehow amongst many games that either have a massive legacy, brain rot infestation, or once plagued with controversy, all while remaining fairly consistent, uncontroversial, and widely beloved. The community itself is another bag of worms. Although there's some light level of toxicity as there is within most fandoms, the large part of the community is highly and consistently interactive and dedicated to the game, while remaining friendly. Some take advantage of the map and skill builder to make wonderful creations. Others make content around the game, exploring all the new mechanics and coming up with combos and simply bringing people's spirits up, while the rest just have fun with all the stuff and people there, seemingly embodying the game's spirit of shenanigans. The Jujutsu Shenanigans community seems to be so active and vibrant and familial almost in comparison to many of the others, and the game vastly more unique and composed in comparison to others in Roblox. But what may cause this unique combination of heightened traits? And what makes this game and its community shine above so many others? Or is there more below the surface that we don't know about? To get to the bottom of this pit, I think we must first take a peek at the core ideas of the community and fandom in the first place. As outlined by Askil Tiora and Graham Scrambler in communal forms, they put it as something like this: the world community entails an everyday understanding of a group of individuals who share something in common in which distinguishes them from other possible groups. The colloquial use of the word community to refer to a local district widens the concept, which can be a problem in an academic sense, while the British researchers Anthony P. Cohen and Gerald Delante use the term in their books on community as an umbrella term, developing anthropological and sociological analyses respectively. The term community studies is used to refer to the studies of local societies, which is something else entirely. The term community work generally refers to local, generally voluntary, work, usually with a far more specific meaning than the sociological concepts of community. They go on to explain the phenomenon in its many different layers and depth, but the general point of the researchers' work and ideas is that community is a multi-layered and dynamic entity that requires aspects of the situational, material, and more. While this provides a good base to understand what community is, there's also the aspect of many online communities today, which is that of fandom. A fandom is an online community that engages with fan culture. Online communities are very similar to real ones, and they are a virtual space where people come together with others to converse, exchange information or other resources, learn, play, or just be with each other, to quote Paul Resnick and Robert E. Kraut. They've grown massively over the past 10 to 20 years, and the creation of things like YouTube, Discord, along with the boom in video game popularity with platforms such as Steam, has caused so many to bloom. But only a few stand above the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of online communities out there. As mentioned in building successful online communities, evidence-based social design, you need to carve out a useful niche, defend it against other competing online communities where people go and how people spend their time, and finally reach a critical mass if you are to form a successful online community. Now that we have these guides set, we can start to take a look at Jujutsu Shenanigans. A community such as this that hasn't been examined before needs some investigation to see what kind of population it holds and give some hints toward what the root attraction may be. And I gathered this information through a general survey and some interviews. From the collected survey data, a whopping 92.5% of the community is around the teen to young adult side, between the ages of 14 to 21, with the remaining 7.5% preferring not to disclose. In addition to this, the overwhelming majority of the community is male, also at a 92.5% ratio, with the remaining 7.5% identifying under some form of queer gender identity. Around 72.5% play it consistently, with 27.5% playing the game occasionally. 57.5% play with friends they know in real life, and 27.5% play with friends through the game. 27.5% casually. Regarding enjoyment, the players seem to enjoy their experiences around 87.5% of the time very positively, with no negative or highly negative experiences. Half the community has indefinitely made friends through the JJS community, and 92.5% feel connected to the community in some way, with 40% of that population feeling extremely connected. With the exception of its silliness and shenanigans, there was no overwhelming consensus about what necessarily makes it so different from other Roblox games, and what kept people coming back. Answers varied heavily from its lack of pay-to-win, loving the show it's based on, how the characters are designed, the casual play, and many more reasons. Adding on to this base data, the large majority of the community, aside from the game, resides on a Discord server. As described in Establishment of an Engaged and Active Learning Community in Biology Classroom and Lab with Discord, Gen Z students are often more comfortable in online communities and with text chatting than previous generations than they were talking about community outside the classroom. This makes sense with the heightened advancement of technology in the prior decades, and Discord itself is an ideal platform for game communities such as those on Roblox. The introductory data gives an idea of what the community is like, but doesn't exactly tell us what the players really feel about the community and their thought process. So I interviewed a few of these players from the Discord community to go deeper into what truly makes the community so different. For necessary clarification, all interviewees gave full consent to any information being used and published prior to the interview. Over the interviews I conducted, it became abundantly clear that all of the players here were deeply engaged with the game in some form or another in comparison to the typical Roblox game, and more akin to the fan of a long-running franchise or music artist. The unique aspect of a skill builder allows a player base to create content for a part of the game completely for themselves. It's a part of its creative soul, connecting other creators with each other and bringing in things that haven't been officially added yet, but are still wanted. The game is tied to an IP, that of the anime Jujutsu Kaisen, yet it manages to stand on its own separate from the anime. The consensus is that while it may have helped contribute to the faster growth and expansion of the game, the general ideas could have prospered and continued on their own without any problems. Roblox as a platform itself was seemingly essential to the success of it, and likely would not have prospered at the very least as well as it did without the flexibility, unique style, and ease of creation access, and the sort of pre-existing Battlegrounds ecosystem that had a hole for something new and different which needed to be filled. In the actual process of becoming a casual to a fan or full-fledged community member, it seems to be driven much more by the actual mechanics of the game than into the community. People find the gameplay, characters, and parkour mechanics interesting, and slowly as they get invested into the gameplay, they start finding fellowship in interaction with others, whether through skill building, 1v1s, talking, or messing around and eventually learning and adopting the social rules and contracts that naturally exist in the game, like respecting the battle, embracing the shenanigans, and of course not running. Runners, as they are described, are a small subset of players who hold the toxic behavior of constantly running away from fair battles whenever on the losing side of things, and have developed into the main toxic side of the community. Although luckily they are a small majority, and most of the community, along with the individuals interviewed, do not like them. This just goes to show that even these instances of toxic behavior can unite the rest of the community against this kind of action. Although some may also know of the anime, the majority seems to be fans of the game, and because of how its mechanics stand on its own, they may have controversy, but it manages to get kicked out. The game provides low stakes and relaxation for those who simply wish to have fun or even find social interaction that they can't get from other places, whether it be due to isolation, post-COVID complications, or other things. Standing atop the multifaceted nature of the game and community is TZE himself, praised for his experimental ideas and deep-rooted interaction with the community and the players on the ground level, and even being fairly responsive when it comes to any drama or controversy that may arise. Now that we have everything established, we can take a look back at our key factors needed for an online community to survive, and see if Jujutsu Shenanigans as a community checks those marks. Firstly, does it carve out a useful niche? Well, it isolated a vacuum that hadn't been filled and marked its place so that it meets the requirement. It managed to hold steady even while anime content wasn't releasing, and consistently grow in popularity over time without much competition or interference, with retention and playtime extremely vast that actually affected it, so that's fine. And with the high praise it receives, its status commonly amongst the top tiers of played Roblox games, and it's over 1 million users on Discord. There is no doubt that the community has reached a critical mass. The big difference, though, is that it goes above and beyond most other online communities. The community actively engages with the game and creates content, keeps each other afloat by discussing and playing and theorizing on future content, and in the game inherently itself only keeps driving this community further and further, longer and longer. To put everything into perspective, the game and fandom fall into the criteria of what makes a community successful. It also does so much more in comparison to one such as the Taylor Swift community, or even maybe it reaches the level of the Minecraft community in some regards. I believe that what was learnt here can be put to good use, and we can see how we can grow our own communities. Maybe one could implement the level of community creativity. Maybe you could try and interact with the community more. But ultimately, no matter what, it's undeniable that there is an anomaly amongst online communities that we don't know if something like it will ever come again. And its name is Jujutsu Shenanigans.
Let's learn. ISO, move aside, man. ISO game kill, easy chatting. Why you mad? It was a fair fight.
Thank you very much for watching my first video essay. My name is Rain, of course. Really hope you continue on watching this content. I plan to make many more on other anime and stuff. And also, shout out to the GOAT, Landberry, and Drop of the Hood. Go and read their manga, Robomonk. It's absolutely fire. You should definitely check it out. But that's all for me. So, until next time, just keep on checking in and be gay, do crime.